All right, let's sit nice and tall, and we'll close the eyes. And just take a moment to settle in. Allow yourself to be supported in this moment by your intention, by your own sense of self, by the breath. By the connection that you feel. By divinity. Allow yourself to be supported. Let all doubts fade away. And in the next hour or so, just allow yourself to be receptive to the possibility and to the potential. Let go of the other stories. And have sincere faith that there is another way. Drawing the hands together in front of the heart. We'll lift our voices in Om, and then I'll share the invocatory mantras. If you know them, you can join. Taking a breath in. Om. Gananantva ganapatigam havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam Jyestarajam brahmanan brahmanaspata anafshrinvanuti bisidha sadhanam Mahaganapataye namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajini Vati Tinama Vitriyavatu Ano Divo Brahataf Parvata Da Saraswati Ajata Gantu Yagnyam Havan Devi Jujushana Gritachi Shagmam Novacha Mushati Shrinotu Vagdevyai Namaha. And then gently releasing the hands down and fluttering the eyes open. And so today, I thought we would talk about this very amazing and beautiful mantra. Hello and welcome. Welcome. Please sit. And so students oftentimes ask, what is peace in our daily life? How do we experience peace? What is it that we can do in order to come to know more profoundly the peace within? And so there's many things that we can do. Really, the first thing that it begins with is life adjustments. We really need to take a deep dive into our life and discover the areas within our life habits that promote the opposite of peace. Where do we promote violence? Even of the smallest kind, stepping on a spider, where are we doing these types of behaviors that leave a lasting imprint on us? And then we need to modify those behaviors so that they are less harmful and more oriented toward peace. We need to look at our relationships and recognize where our relationships are healthy and where they're not healthy. And as best we can, and asking for support when it's needed, make modifications to those relationships so that they become a ground of equanimity more than a ground of struggle and battle. There are so many different things, the way that we eat, the way that we rest, the way that we work. Do we go to work dreading our work, thinking of our work as a superimposition in our life? Or do we go to work recognizing the service that our work really is to all the hearts and lives that the work touches? It's very difficult when we're trying to navigate through a world that is made basically from a human ego, all human egos. It's very difficult to navigate that world and to maintain the path of peace. because those two things are inherently opposing one another. The ego is worried for the ego. It is not worried about peace. The heart exists with peace. The heart of ourselves, the true essence of who we really are, of the potential that we carry within ourselves. And this tradition of yoga, Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, we can put so many names to the traditions, but really, all of the traditions that have come from India, from what we today call India, they have support built into them, a way for us to make the changes necessary in our life, a way for us to come to realize the truth and the power of peace, the truth and the power of unity, the truth of ourselves, of each other. And so asana, it's a wonderful, wonderful technique and tool to support us, helps us to direct our energy, helps us to align our physical body, helps us to overcome injuries and illnesses to some degree. It's not a cure-all for the physical ailments, because the physical ailments are always going to be there. But it is a realm that helps us to navigate those injuries and illnesses more profoundly, more meaningfully, so that we don't feel like life itself is being stripped away from us as a result of an injury. The asana help us to align with life as it happens, and empowers us to see beyond the happenings of the human body and into the realization of the heart, of the devotion, of the growth. We have meditation, and you're going to hear quite a bit about that in a little while from Dilip ji. One form of meditation is mantra meditation. And mantra is a very beautiful practice. So many people are a bit hesitant about it because they don't understand it. But it's a beautiful practice. The mantra practice, it trains the mind to be more in line with the heart. It quiets the ego, and it provides for the practitioner an opportunity to experience the potential of bhakti, the potential of devotion. Now, there's a lot of discussion about, does it have to start with devotion, because a lot of students aren't really comfortable with that. And the realism is that no matter whether your heart is open to devotion or not at first, that is not necessarily the most important thing initially. The most important thing is that you bring your entire self into a place of balance so that you can become open to a greater devotion, so that you can become open to the potential of divinity, to the love of Krishna, to the power of Shiva, to the compassion of the Divine Mother. Initially, we show up on this path in an injured way. And as injured individuals, or as individuals who believe in their injuries, it's very difficult to then say, okay, I'm completely vulnerable to divinity. I'm here, I'm open, I'm willing. So the willingness to dive into bhakti head first and to be a devotee is not initially the point. That comes with time. Devotion grows within us. As with anything, it's for the better or not, we sometimes need proof of a path. We need proof. We can't just follow blindly. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love and respect and cherish about this particular tradition, is that it's not based in blind faith. It's based in inquiry. It's based in asking questions. It's based in a real practical application, and you being able to have that experience and discover how it resonates with you particularly. And then you have teachers of all calibers who are there to guide and answer questions and support you. But really, what this path is about first and foremost is you having an experience that allows you to open yourself up to the greater possibilities. Mantra is a practice that brings us there. I started off saying, what is peace? Well, there is a mantra, very beautiful mantra, very short mantra. And it is an affirmation It is a statement that says, I am the form of peace. I take the form of peace. I will live as the form of peace. And it's a very short mantra, very easy. It's Om Shanti Svarupaham. I am the form of peace. Now, you take that mantra and you chant it every day. When you're irritated, when you're sad, when you're angry, whatever it is that happens to be going on in your life, you take it, you chant that mantra over and over and over again. And you let it prove itself to you. You allow it to bring its power, its essence forward in your life so that you can see clearly that there is potential there, that you really do have the capacity to walk through this life peacefully with some semblance of great joy in your heart, with a restfulness that does not depend on the changeability of a human-made world, with an assurance that there really is something more. Om Shanti Svarupaham. We've talked about that mantra a lot. We use that mantra quite often, actually. So familiar to some of you. There are many mantras, and I'm going to let Dilip talk to you a little bit more about that. But this particular mantra, I am the form of peace, when we chant that mantra, we're automatically brought into a question. What is it exactly to be the form of peace? What is it to be peace? And again, addressing lifestyle, addressing attitude, addressing habitual behaviors, addressing all of these things so that they become more in line with something that is not violence, with something that is the opposite of violence, with something that we might not quite be able to explain just yet early in our journey, but something which we are willing to hold our hearts and minds open to so that we can learn. Just like we had to learn the alphabet, just like we had to learn 1 + 1 is 2, just like we have to learn everything else in life. We need to keep the heart and mind open to learning what peace is and to stumbling along the way, to stepping 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 12 steps back. You know, it's a little salsa, right? A little back and forth going on there. So part of acquiring the answer, or any part of the answer, to what is peace, is to be willing to explore and to make mistakes, and to come back from those mistakes in a way that is humble and grateful for the opportunity of it. And then to accompany that with the willingness to continue to grow and say, okay, I know I don't have to step on the spider, but I still don't like spiders. How do I rectify this in my own life? And then you work with that as if it were of the utmost importance. The tradition teaches, and it states in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, to the one who sees me in everything and everything in me. That includes the spider. Yep. It includes the spider. It includes your boss. It includes your enemy. It includes everything and everyone. So we can always come back from our mistakes with a humble awareness that we're learning. We're in the process of changing. Our hearts and minds are open, but it takes time. If we come to the mantra, if we come to the practice of meditation, if we come to the service, if we come to the study of the scriptures, those things will inevitably support us along the way because they will answer our questions for us. We won't feel like we're stumbling in the dark. And that's an issue in today's spiritual world because there's a very horrible thing out there called appropriation. And it's really going strong in the world today. The appropriation of yoga, the appropriation of so many different things. Appropriation is really interesting because when we appropriate something, we take only what we like. I'll take that and that, but I won't take that. And one of the aspects that has not been taken along with many of the practices is the concept of a knowledgeable teacher. This has left so many students grasping in the dark. They have all these practices that are being taught in a very widespread way in the world, but they don't have anyone to answer their questions. And when they have questions, if they go to someone, they don't know who they're going to. And they might be going to someone who, knows what they know. Look, we're all limited in that regard because we're all human beings. But the reality is that there is a difference between a teacher who invokes self-responsibility and self-inquiry and a true, deep journey versus a teacher who just says, well, just ignore it. It'll change. We don't want to just ignore things because we want to be aware of the trajectory that our practice is on. We want to be constantly receiving, to some degree, some type of feedback that allows us to grow into a deeper and always more blossoming understanding of what these practices give to us. So this is a big problem in the world today, particularly in the West, where things are appropriated and what is being taken is only what suits us. And that's very ego-driven, and that is antithetical to peace. Antithetical to peace. What we must do is learn about the tradition deeply and come into a respect for the things that we don't understand. Keep an open mind and an open heart, and just continue to learn. Continue to learn. Continue to ask questions. Continue to be present to the many amazing teachers that are out there. So many amazing teachers that are out there. I myself was so blessed meeting my guru 25-ish years ago. Just a happenstance. Wasn't expected. I had no idea. None whatsoever. It was not in the trajectory of my life to meet him. I didn't think, But then he encountered someone on a train who had a relationship to someone that I knew who introduced him to me. And it was just amazing, But there very well could have been a moment in my life where I would have said no. Where I would have been coming from the ego and said, oh, I don't need a teacher. So silly. But there was a humbleness in that moment in my heart when I met him, and I said, I need a teacher. I need a teacher, not so I can become a teacher, but so that I can become a human being. A good human being, a decent human being. A human being who can pursue sincerely the questions that I have about myself and all other human beings, and divinity itself. So through humility, we come into that relationship of being able to accept teachings, at least listening to them and finding out how they resonate in our own hearts and minds. Om Shanti Svarupaham. Let me be the form of peace. Let me take the form of peace. There can be no peace without inquiry. There can be no peace without humility. There can be no peace without unity. Because if we are not unified, then we're separate. Or at least we think we are. So all of these factors are necessary. There can be no peace without change. Could you imagine if things never changed? If things never changed, how could there ever be peace on this earth if there was never death? It would not take very long for this world to become even more overcrowded, to the point where there wasn't enough for everyone. How can there be peace without change? There has to be change. There must be a birth or creation, some type of maintenance, and death, destruction, in order for there to be birth. Change is not, in that regard, antithetical to peace, but what is our attitude toward it. We want things to stay the same when we want things to stay the same, And we want things to change when staying the same gets boring or inconvenient. So we have to rethink our approach to these things. We need to rethink our approach and recognize the fact that change is natural, change is divine, change is what allows the continuation of the birth of the souls that need reconciliation, so that eventually one day we really do come into true unity without the obstacles of the ego, without the obstacle of violence. Om Shanti Svarupaham. Let me be the form of peace in this life, so that my actions, my behaviors, my thoughts, my relationships, my intentions all reflect that potential, that longing, and that goal of unity for myself and for all others. Let me not be an obstacle. Let me not be an obstacle. Om Shanti Svarupaham. This is a very difficult path, though. It's easy and it's difficult, because there's nothing fun about looking in the mirror and saying, I just hurt someone. I just stepped on the spider. I just had an egotistical explosion. There's nothing fun about that. But if you looked at it from a practical perspective, what you would see is that the time you spend trying to hide from yourself whatever flaws or faults or mistakes you've made, and the amount of energy you invest in hiding those, and the suffering that results from that, when you compare that to the peace that comes from acknowledgement, acceptance, and a willingness to change, what comparison is there other than the suffering at hand? The question is very simple. Do you want to suffer? Then continue doing things the way we're doing things. It's perfectly fine. We'll suffer a lot. But if you no longer wish to suffer in that capacity, if you no longer wish for suffering to be the central point of your life, then go the other route. Accept self-responsibility for the changes that have to be made, for the mistakes that have been made, for the reconciliations that must be made. Accept responsibility for those. Even if somewhere you don't feel they were your fault, fault is not at issue here. Nothing is anybody's fault, and everything is everybody's fault. It's true. Nothing is anybody's fault, but everything is everybody's fault, because we're in this together. So accept the responsibility. Many of us say in this lifetime, I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader. I want to make some important decisions. Well, there's no more important decision than to be peace walking through the world. There's no more important decision than to be that. And when you make that decision to be peace walking through the world, then inevitably you will come across every other answer that you are seeking. Your devotion will automatically deepen. You'll want to know. You'll go, Dilip, can you answer this question for me about the Bhagavad Gita? Or you'll go to another teacher and ask them questions, but you'll seek that out. Maybe you'll be called to sit in the presence of Mother Amma. So many. But until we're at that point where we can say, Om Shanti Svarupaham, let me truly be the form of peace in this life, then we will seek those things out as accolades only, as pacifiers of our suffering. And they'll have limited meaning. I have a very good friend of mine who, back in the day, had the opportunity to be in the presence of Sai Baba. And my understanding of this story is that Sai Baba had gatherings a few times a year, and in there he would have a little bamboo cane that he carried with him, and that a certain number of people would come up and he would tap them each with the bamboo cane. Now, my friend, he waited a very long time and attended many of these and was finally called up to be in this line. And he was so looking forward to receiving this amazing gift from Sai Babaji. For some reason, when Sai Babaji went to him, instead of a cane, he touched him with a feather. Now, Ed's reaction was interesting because he reacted with his ego. He said, I really wanted the bamboo. And I got a feather. What does that even say? What does that even say? I said, well, it means that Sai Baba blessed you. That's what it means, period. It doesn't matter what it was with, But this is the play of the mind, is it not? Right? The play of the mind is, I want this, not that. I want that, not this. How come it's not going the way I wanted it to go? This is not being the form of peace. It's seeking pacifications only and entertainments in some way, shape, or form for the ego. And it took him many years to accept the fact that a feather is just as special as a bamboo cane. And he would be the first to say, it was my ego that was bruised. Because I was like, what's wrong with me that he didn't do the same thing to me he did to everybody else? Yeah. We talked about that a lot, actually. Yeah. So don't look for pacifications. Don't look for teachings that suit you. Don't look for a lifestyle that you feel emboldens you in ways that are harmful. And be aware of what the difference is between harmful and not harmful. Instead, approach life and every gift you're given with humility and with a heart that is acknowledging its true longing for peace. Its true longing. Because even if in a moment you're so mad and so angry, you're like, I don't care, I'm so mad at the world, I don't want peace. Yes, you do. Absolutely you do. And the moment you close your eyes and focus on your breath, that truth will come forward in the midst of your anger. But will you be strong enough to answer that calling? Or will you be bound to your anger through habitual behaviors, stories of the mind, and tendencies? The inquiry must happen. It has to. The path must be walked. And the practice must be practiced. Has to. With that, I'm going to invite Dilip to bring his chair right on up over here with me. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to see you. So good to see you.
It's been a year since I saw you.
It has. It's so good to see you. Yeah. I understand that you have a book you've written.
Yes. I have it for you to kind of release the book.
Oh, it is so amazing. May I open it now?
Yes.
So very beautiful. Mantra Meditation, Happiness Formula by Dr. Dilip Jindal.
So, this is basically two things that you taught earlier. One is the happiness, another one is the mantra. And I myself, as a practicing physician, when I experience everything, when I see the patients, what goes through their mind, I try to talk to them and understand. I will use one example. When I see one of my patients who was supposed to be, I work in the rehab, at the Reading Rehab, so who was supposed to be getting a knee replacement, and in the process of evaluation for the knee replacement, they found out he has a triple vessel disease. He needs a cabbage before he can get the knee replacement. Otherwise, he's going to die on the table when they do the knee replacement. So he comes to me after getting the cabbage, and then he's telling me the story. But his mind, what amazes me that his mind is, doc, I'm going to come back in 6 weeks with the knee replacement. Now I'm recovering from my cabbage, and then in 6 weeks I'm going to get my knee replacement. I will come back for the therapy. And when I see other patient who fell and then broke a hip, and then after getting a hip replacement comes back for the therapy, and then on his mind is, why this happened to me? Why this happened to me? I was living my life very well and everything. And that, what's the difference in these two people? It's only the thought that's a consciousness in the mind. So when I see these on my own experience and in my spiritual practice, I know Sudhaji for last 7 or 8 years, and we've been in the spiritual practice, readers of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that when you try to see the world the way you want it to be, that's what you're going to see. But the mantra meditation gives you the power that you start seeing the world the way it is. See the difference in, same my two patients, and then same thing is the word, that you want to see the world the way you want to be, and then you start seeing the world how the world it really is. So one is the truth, and one is the false truth. So we are seeking for the peace, but still we don't find that peace. And that's what the Vedic scripture teaches us, that if you are looking for the peace, until you start seeing the word or the people or whoever you come in contact, they're actually the way they are rather than the way you want them to be. And that's the connection that's missing in between them, our peace. So I use the word expectation and acceptance. That's the thing, that we have our own expectation for everything, and then when the expectations are not fulfilled, that's what's the definition of unrest or anxiety or distress or whatever. That's where it comes from, because our expectations are not filled. So we have to live our life, have high expectations, and do whatever we want to do to obtain the peace. But on the other hand, we should be ready to accept it, whatever we get. Until we accept and then we can be peaceful and happy in the same scenario what we got. The patient was supposed to get knee replacement, comes with the cabbage, and he's happy, and his recovery is, I see the recovery is different in my two patients. It's all the mindset. There's nothing more than that. So mantra meditation, basically how it helps is we trying to do everything our own. And that's what the ego. Everything is our own. Is there something beyond that? You don't want to step up on the spider, but you end up stepping up on the spider, and then later on you might realize that I shouldn't have stepped up on the spider. So what happened that in between? So there is some spiritual energy that works in between that time frame, and that's where the mantra meditation acts. The mantras are full of the spiritual energy, and when you practice the mantra meditation, then you automatically start converting your whole nature into the compassion, truthfulness, service, and then all those characters that we talk about, the ego, arrogance, lust and anger, they start subsiding. They are both in our heart. Nothing comes from anywhere else. Both in our heart. Love and then hate, anger and peace, compassion and then hatred. Everything is there in our heart. And it depends on which one we feed becomes more stronger. Self-talk, that plays an important role in which one becomes the stronger. Self-talk, what you talk to yourself. Just a little bit something comes up and then you show anger to yourself. We don't know how much it impacts on our mind and heart. It has a very, very important role. And that's where when you do the mantra meditation, chanting the mantra gives that spiritual energy. that you automatically start transforming your life, your nature, your behavior, everything just starts turning into the peace. Because the spiritual energy that's embodied in those simple phrases. So that's how it works in terms of the how those simple phrases, just I am peace. I am peace. Simple mantra can give you so much peace. So So the book I wrote it a little bit about my own experience as a physician, and we all know that everything we do, like let me say it this way, that if I do as a physician I prescribe same medicine to the two patients for the same disease, I don't get the same results. And two different people are doing the same work on the same person at the same time, they don't get the same results. So where is the difference in the results? Where does it come? That's what the Krishna teaches us in Bhagavad Gita, that we just have our duty to do our work. Results is not depends on that. There is spiritual energy in between that decides what result you're going to get. COVID taught us so much. We treated so many patients with the same way, and we did not get any results of the same results. People who did not get any treatment, they got better. Same condition, people who got everything, unfortunately, we lost them. So COVID taught us so much that in the recent, that we don't get the same results. And that's what the Krishna teaches us in Bhagavad Gita, that you just have a option to do your duty. Result, there are so many things in between that we don't see it. And that's where when we practice the mantra meditation, that energy of the Lord starts acting on us, and it gives us different power that we really need. The type of world we are living, I think we need more than anything else. So, and again, the interesting thing when I see in the spiritual practice, when we go for the spiritual practice, we can just start learning from anywhere. My friend told me this, my X person told me this and this. But what happens when you are sick? You go to the doctor. When you have a legal issue, you go to the lawyer. When your TV is broken, you go to the technician who fixes the TV. You don't take your TV to the doctor and tell him to fix it, because everybody has their own expertise and knowledge. And similarly, when it comes to the spiritual practice, we have to approach the person who has the real spiritual knowledge, not anybody else. Just we have to identify. And the Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita that if your consciousness is to find a real guru or teacher, he gives the guarantee he will arrange it for you. You just have to have a desire in your heart, and he will arrange it for you. And you will reach to the real guru or teacher who can give you the true knowledge. And if your intention to get that knowledge and then cheat other people, he will send you a cheater guru. That's the reality. If your aim is to have peace yourself and then give it to anybody comes in your contact with, he will send a guru who can give you. So that's how the spiritual energy actually works. So that's what I understood reading the Vedic scripture. So there are so many mantras. Then if you want to practice mantra meditation, question comes to everybody's mind. What is the most common question comes to your mind? Can I ask you?
Oh, yeah. What mantra do I use? If you're like me, you just keep changing them out like your clothes. I've been sticking with one for a while.
So which mantra do I practice? So there is no inferior or superior mantra. All mantra has the same power. But the mantra that comes from your guru or your teacher to you, that's the mantra for you. Maybe different mantra for her because her teacher and guru is different for her. But these all three mantra have the same power. So the mantra has to come from your guru. You cannot just open a book or read on the internet and get a mantra. It won't work. And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sudhaji used the Swamini, used the same thing, same word. It's, you have to ask the question, inquire from the guru. Don't accept the guru or the mantra just because you want to get it. Inquire, clear your mind, clarify your mind what exactly the questions or confusions you have in your mind. And that's where you practice that mantra. And the guru is the one who has seen the truth. Don't accept a guru who is just talking, not practicing, period. Because if what exactly you want your mind, your thoughts, your words, and your deeds in the same sync. Mind should give you the right instructions, and then words should speak the right thing, and that's what you're supposed to do. If the guru is not doing all these three in the same, he's speaking something else is going in his mind, and he's doing something else. So even though he's giving you the mantra, but after getting the mantra, that's what you're going to do. So that's very important. So the guru is supposed to be who has seen the truth. You inquire from him submissively, ask the question, and then you accept a guru, and then you accept the mantra. So I put few stories from the Bhagavatam where Dhruv Maharaj was the 5-year-old child, and he was determined to see the God. I want to see the God face to face. And then Narada Muni, that's what the Vedic scripture teaches us, Narada Muni is the spiritual master for everyone. And he saw his determination. He tried to convince him, don't go home, you're a 5-year-old child, you can do it later on. But then he said, no. If that's your instruction, then you're not my guru. If you have something to tell me that how can I reach to the Lord, then I will accept you, my guru. And then he saw that his determination, he gives him the mantra. That's the mantra that I like. The mantra is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's the mantra he chanted for 6 months without eating, drinking or anything, 5-year-old child. And then Lord comes in face to face. And then beauty is that when you have a face to face with the Lord, you forget about everything. So he said, well, I don't know why I was doing all these, tapasya and meditation, and I don't need anything, I just wanted to see you. And then all my desire and everything has gone. And I am now just your servant, that's all I want. Still the God is so merciful, still he will give you whatever is your material desires, and at the same time he will give you the peace. And that's all I think we are seeking, that we have very short life. Life is very short, and whatever the life we have, we want to live in the peace. So that's how the mantra meditation, chanting the mantra. We usually chant on the beach. I forgot to bring the beach. We chant on the beach. The Mataji has the beach. We chant on the beach, and make your habit. There are so many people. You make your habit every day in the morning, 5 minutes. And then you will see, if you do faithfully 28 days, just a 5 minute every day in the morning, you will see. I think Sue is here. She can share her experience in few minutes if she wants to, because I think we met over almost 1.5 to 2 years ago, and she.
Dilip time flies. It's
She-
almost 3 years.
3 years, oh my God! And so, if you want to share your experience with the, what happens to the heart, what happens to our feelings, what happens to our mind by chanting just a 5 minute every day, it's like I can share this. The Christians, see, one of our friend, she has a cat, and then they all have their own pets, and then before, when the cat gets sick, she will be stressed out and he has to do this and that, and then the last time when we talked, her cat had a tumor, she has to take it to the surgeon. So how her consciousness changes. Like my duty is to take to the cat to the surgeon. I don't have any kind of stress and attachment. What's going to happen to the cat? Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So you do your duty. You just take the cat to the vet. Vet is going to do whatever he's going to do. Outcome is going to be whatever it's going to be. So why you are stressed? We all know that. We all know that. But why that doesn't happen to us, that we live our life that way? And that's where the mantra meditation infuses its power, that you can live your life that way. That you do your best, whatever is going to happen, and then you accept that and live in the peace.
And Dilipji, I'd like to just add something to that too, because I think sometimes students misunderstand that when we say, I have no control over the outcome, you have a right to the duty, to the work only, that they take that as it being, well, I guess I don't care. But it's not actually I don't care. It's actually a deeper caring. It's an even deeper compassion. Because when the mind is free of the what-ifs, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and all of those other types of distractions, then you can come into a genuine relationship with what is actually happening. You can be present to it. And there is nothing more healing in a relationship, whether it is between a human and a cat or two humans or this entire world, than your absolute presence to it. You holding a space for it within which it is accepted for exactly what it is. And then there is yet another level to this where divinity itself is present. And in your heart, that is what is honored. Is that this is a natural extension of that consciousness. This is part of that birth, maintenance, death, creation, maintenance, destruction. This is part of that. And as such, it must be honored also, without my infusing it with the what-ifs, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, all of those types of distractions. So it's not caring. It's actually a much different quality of love than what we typically bring forward in our experiences.
Yeah, that's the misinterpretation. That's why you need a guru to explain it to you. That it's not what, that you don't care. And practitioners know that's not what it is. But, people who are new to the practice, who are just trying to understand what the practice is, they think that he or she is telling me don't care about it. And that's not what it is. Practitioners know you care more, you do more, because your intention is to service. You transform your work to the service.
Now we have a few minutes left before the end of the session. Sue, would you like to say something?
I would love to. I'll try to keep this really short. In 1989, I fell asleep and was in the presence of God. And it was beyond description. And I did not want to leave. I had an 18-month-old son, and I had a husband I loved, and I was willing to walk away from them without even a thought. But I woke up in my bed and I was sobbing, just sobbing. Well, my son grew up, my father died, and I started looking for God. And without too long, I found her. And I started to tell people about my connection with the divine. And they kind of started doing this. They did that so much, I kind of started to think I was schizophrenic. And then I met Dilip. And he said, chant the mantra. And I started that day, and I've only missed one day since today, and that was because I was deathly ill and basically wasn't awake. It has, the mantra has subtle, it's magic. It has a subtle effect, but it's profound, and I swear it gets into your DNA. I'm a type A personality. I was a lawyer. I retired a couple years ago. Constantly stressed, constantly perfectionist. I felt too much is kind of a wrong way to say it, but when I found God, I knew the name of the game was surrender. But for me, surrender is a process. It's not okay, I surrender, I'm done. It's like, I surrender to this level. And in fact, she even said to me one time, when you surrender to me to the next level, you will no longer find it necessary to ask me why. And that's true. I just do. She gives me stuff to do, and I do it. And it's like, I don't question it, I just do it. And to me, like when I told someone, even my spiritual friends, they were like, I don't want that relationship. And it's like, why would you not want that relationship? It makes everything so easy. And the mantra, like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm chanting the mantra in my head. I had the experience once of being one with all and loving all. I was everything. I was God, was. But I might have that again. I can't imagine why anyone would think that it's not worth doing. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. So insightful. And what a blessing of experiences that you have had in this life. And a few things that you said truly resonate with so many students because they come into this place of an initial deep dive into themselves. The problem is community knows you a certain way. Your family knows you. Your friends all know you. Your boss, your co-workers, they all know you a certain way. And the moment that a person starts to change profoundly, it unsettles everything around them that thinks they know them and who they really are. And we see this in the students who come into our residential trainings. We see this in students who come into a regular ongoing practice, is that as they change, the people around them become more and more uncomfortable. And they start asking questions like, are you involved in a cult? What's going on? Why are you changing like this? This isn't who you really are. And really, that's an ego response, right? It's an unhealthy ego response. The ego can be healthy or unhealthy. Most of the time, it's not very healthy. And so that is the ego response of saying, I want you to be who I want you to be. I don't want you to be who you think you are. I'm not comfortable. I don't know that territory. And that's not an issue, except that the human heart and mind are so fragile, or at least we think they are, that the moment that a person says to you, what are you getting yourself involved in? You should be worried. Then we say, should I be worried? And then we start to worry. Yes. So the key is to try to always remember that you have a particular journey in this life that is suited to you, and that others don't need to understand it. And they will fight against it, and they will try to talk you out of it because they don't want to have to hold themselves up to that. They don't want to have to answer the very difficult question that they themselves will ask themselves, why am I not doing that work? Why is she so happy? Why does she feel like one with everything? How come I don't have that? Because they know inevitably the answer is self-responsibility and an openness to go deeper within in order to have that experience. So it doesn't let them ask those questions, the woman, the man, whoever it was. Let them sit with that. Your journey is your journey and your journey alone. No one else needs to understand. Your guru understands. God understands. Goddess understands. Your Sangha understands. That's all that you need. That's all that you... And you don't even need the Sangha to understand. The Guru understands and God understands because they are your path. And that's all that matters. And then the other thing that you said that was just so beautiful, I really love the humility of your story. Also, I was one in a given moment. We see this back and forth with students of, I had it and then I lost it, and then I had it and then I lost it. And that is the dance. That is the rediscovery. You don't rediscover everything all at once and keep it. No, you're still a human being. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 12 steps back. You know? Yes. And that's the dance. That's the opportunity, the beautiful opportunity to continually be reminded, to continually remember parts of the truth until the truth is shining so brightly within your own heart and mind that you can no longer deny it. Yes?
So one thing I forgot to say is, when I had that experience of oneness, I thought at the time, I told Dilip this is so easy. This is so easy. And then the moment passed, it's like, no, it's not easy. I don't have to get back there.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Give it back. It's true. It's not easy at all, but it is grace. It's not at all easy, but it is very simple. It is not at all easy, but it is very simple. And the problem that we encounter is that the ego is complicated. And the complication hides, disguises the simplicity. Yeah.
And then, the things that I experienced were not particularly, they didn't play well in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I kind of thought I was schizophrenic.
Mm-hmm.
And after many months of being with Dilip, I started to tell him these things. And, he didn't do this. What he says, oh yeah, that's in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, here, right, yeah, here it is, right here. And it's like that was so, such a relief, because I didn't want to really wind up in a mental institution, Go figure.
No need for it either. Yeah, no need for it either. But that is a fear that society puts on us, isn't it? It's like if you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah.
And we have to stop listening to that and just realize that, again, our path is the path we're meant to walk. And others may not understand it and others won't understand it. And that's okay because they have their path that they're walking. And inevitably, the most beautiful thing is that, at the end of all of this, we're all going to be in the same place. That's the beauty, the ultimate beauty of this, is at the end of all of it, we will all be in the same place, no matter what pathway we took to get there, whether it was the path of resistance or acceptance.
Yeah, but important is what you live, the life you have, the peace or in the distress.
Yes.
And we all choose to live in the peace, but there's still so many obstacles. And putting to the divine energy in your peace or obstacle, it will balance out.
Absolutely.
It will balance out.
Yes.
Very, very short life, believe me or not, very short life, and you want to live with the peace and compassion, and then that's what it starts coming up. The divine nature and demonic nature both are in our heart. The moment we start seeking for the divinity, all those divine natures start growing up, and then they will subside. And That's where the peace is.
Mm.
You never felt happy after saying a bad word to somebody, after getting angry to somebody. It doesn't matter who the person is. You never felt happy in your heart. Why is that? You wanted to do that and you did it, and then sit back and then feel bad about it. So there is something that will stop you doing all these things, and then just at the peace all the time.
So we're just about out of time. Actually, we are a couple of minutes late. But just, does anybody have any questions for either Dilip or myself that they would like to ask, or reflections that they would like to offer for today?
I do. Does a mantra have to be in Sanskrit? Is that the correct?
Sanskrit. Yes.
Can it be done in English?
That's a wonderful question. And yeah. So it really depends on what your tradition is. Okay, if you are a Christian, then it might be better for you to chant a hymn out of the Bible. If you are Hindu, or any of the traditions coming from what we today call India, then Sanskrit is appropriate for you. It depends upon your tradition. But ultimately, in this particular tradition, we say that the Sanskrit words, if you are a practitioner, you should be chanting the Sanskrit, because the Sanskrit has a sacred vibration to it that the English language doesn't have, and that the words of the English language do not have the capacity to express purely, because typically if you say peace, you get a visual in your mind of what peace should look like and what it should not look like. It's natural psychology. But when you chant the Sanskrit, it's not, I'm going to say this a certain way, it's not about the word. It is about the divine wisdom that comes through the sacred sound. And that is not something that the ego can touch. So to chant in Sanskrit is preferable within the tradition. Yeah.
It's like scientists have done in the modern science also, like when you say peace, when they resonate that sound, and then there is a small particles, and then they resonate that sound, and then that whatever image comes out of that peace, and then they resonate the Shanti. It's the same. The thing English and Sanskrit word Shanti, the image that comes out of that resonant are different. Okay, and this is like more kind of a hazy and a rough image, and here it's very, very beautiful, peaceful image. So it's sound vibration, it's different. But if you are from the Christian tradition, chant a phrase from the Bible every day, I can guarantee within a month or two, you will if you chanted that with full heart and full peace, you will transfer yourself in the Sanskrit. Because the power that has the phrase from the Bible will give you the strength to go that next level.
Yes.
So let's say I go to a guru and I ask, what is my mantra? Let's say for some strange reason, it's in Sanskrit and it is and this individual doesn't tell me the English meaning. So I start saying it. Do the vibrations of the word still have that healing effect if I don't know the interpreted meaning?
Well, that's another really great question. If you request mantra diksha, you should know the meaning of your mantra. Your guru will tell you the meaning of your mantra. They'll explain it to you. But let's just say that you receive a mantra and for some reason they didn't share that with you. Yes, you mentally knowing the meaning of the Sanskrit is not as important as the intention with which you chant the mantra itself. Because the mantra has its own magic, as you said before, has its own energy, has its own grace that it bestows upon you. And really, whether you want it or not, whether you know the mantra in translation in English or not, the power and the energy are still there. The mantra is God. God is the mantra. And our limited understanding doesn't affect that. Yeah. Would you like to add to that, Dilip?
Yeah, so like you reach to the level where you went to the guru and then got the mantra. And you're just puzzled with the meaning of the mantra. And when we read the Vedic scripture, I added one story in this book about that. When the guru and then his student was talking that there are so many people who don't chant the mantra. So what's going to happen to them? And then they said that the power of the name of the Lord is so strong. Like in the Sanskrit, Hari is the name of the Lord. Rama is the name of the Lord. So the people who are against the Vedic scripture, they call this Vedic scripture haram. Haram means, the English translation for the Sanskrit word haram is bastard. Okay, so they call all the practitioner is haram, all the Vedic scripture is haram. But the guru is telling him that even though they're calling it haram, there is a ram in it. Even their intention is to criticize the other side, but the name of the ram is in it. They will get benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So when in English word, people are always in hurry. Let's do it hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. They will get benefit because they're chanting the name of the Hari so many times a day. They will get the benefit. So eventually they will come to understand the real mantra.
The other thing important to remember also, or to just even know, is that there is a difference between somebody suggesting a mantra to you and receiving mantra diksha. Mantra diksha is a formalized relationship between a teacher and a student, and it has a criteria to it, a ritual to it, and a promise made to it. Whereas any teacher can suggest a mantra to you, but that doesn't mean that they've given you a mantra. Yeah.
So how does this coincide with the japa? Because I know that's chanting the mantra over and over, but we're just given a mantra. It's not really given from a guru. I guess it's just a different kind of benefit.
Well, when we sit and we chant japa on Sunday mornings, we're coming together as a sangha, and we are invoking the name of the Mother Durga. And that is not mantra diksha, unless it is for some people. But for your typical student coming into class, no, they're coming in to basically what we could call a prayer session. They're coming in to sit down and to invest their energy and their heart and their soul into cultivating a relationship with the Divine Mother. So that would not be the same thing as mantra diksha.
But while chanting in the japa, sitting and chanting in the japa, if you have a desire to get your own guru and your own mantra, it has to come from your heart. The desire coming from your mind won't work.
Yeah.
But the desire, the day you get the desire, I can guarantee within 7 days, that's the Vedic scripture teaches us, you will have your guru and your mantra. But the problem is, we come for those sangha, do the chanting and japa, but still we don't have that desire that you want to go on that path.
There's also a difference between coming in once a week or once a month or whatever. When you have your mantra given to you by the guru, you have a daily responsibility. You have a life responsibility to that. It's a much different situation. Yeah, much different situation. Anybody else? Any other questions or reflections? We're good? Yes.
What I'm sure we're all wondering is, where can we get your book?
I was just going to suggest to Dilip that he let you know that.
Dilip told me to bring some books, so I have some books. I can, if you want, I can sign it if I find my pen. But I'm definitely going to do one for Mataji.
Oh, thank you, Dilip. I look forward to reading it.
If anybody wants, you
Let's
can
take a
take the
picture.
book. And then, if not, don't need to sign it. I'll be happy to sign it. If anyone wants to take the unsigned copy, yes.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
I just need to run out to the car and get someone.
Okay. So, how many of you would like a book? Who would like a book? Okay, wonderful.
Just by chance, are you going to have them in the shop?
We very well may. I haven't spoken to Dilip about this. This is all a little bit new. May we carry the book in the shop for you? Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, wonderful. I figured. Dilip has taught here too.
It's available on Amazon if anybody wants to buy from
Yeah.
Amazon.
Let me run out to the car.
Would you sign mine?
Sure.
And are you teaching anywhere right now?
No.
So no Bhagavad Gita sessions or anything going on currently?
We're just doing, a few people online.
Okay.
We haven't started, in
Do you
person.
do that locally? Do you do?
We do weekly on the online.
And so Dilip has also offered Bhagavad Gita sessions here in the past, and so maybe for the new year we can talk about that again. And now that COVID seems to be kind of, yes, and everybody's getting accustomed to coming back in person.
I would be very interested.
Yeah, I was
So
here.
I keep reading
What
and
can I give you
reading.
for it? Is it
Completely abstract.
$1
That's what I have in my wallet, so thank you very much.
It's like each time I go,
So to take away from today would be that peace is within your grasp. Peace is something that you need to dedicate yourself to if you wish to experience it. The experience of peace is a gift that has been given to each and every one of us by divinity. It is our birthright. It is our spiritual promise. It is the very essence of who we really are, of that divine truth that we've been speaking about. So work for peace in yourself, in your life, in your relationships, and in every possible facet. And when you have a moment of doubt, just remember that the doubt is normal in your human nature. It doesn't mean that there is no such thing as peace. It just means that you've come to a point in the road where there is an obstacle, and it's yet another lesson to be learned, yet another opportunity to remember the truth of the self and the grace of divinity and work through it patiently, humbly, compassionately. And also seek support. Sangha, teachers, seek support. Don't think that you have to be the strong one, because you don't. You just need to be the consistent one, the one who is willing to answer the calling of the heart. I'd like to thank Dilip Ji for being here today.
Thank you for your
Absolutely.
time. It's my pleasure always coming
Wonderful.
here.
Absolutely.
And when we practice the spirituality or mantra meditation, if our expectation that our life will be smooth, that's not true.
No.
Ups and downs is going to be there, but guaranteed you will have power to overcome those obstacles.
Exactly.
So sometimes people get again confused that I've been doing that and why this is happening to my life.
Yeah.
Ups and downs will be there. There's no smooth life on this planet for anybody. So there's going to be ups and downs, but how to face those obstacles and how to overcome, that's the power. That's the power we need.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power we need.
Yeah.
If there's no ups and downs, life is going smooth, and then you probably think that it's better to die than live in this smooth life. There's nothing more fun.
You get bored very quickly.
That's the human nature, You don't want that life either. So it's going to be ups and downs, but there's going to be power to overcome those obstacles.
Wonderful.
It's there. It's not that somebody's going to give it to you or it's going to come from somewhere else. It's right there. It's just going to be more pronounced or more enhanced, and you will feel it. Now we just don't feel it. It's there.
So
Thank
let's
you.
sit nice and tall. We'll close the eyes. Place the right hand on the heart, left hand over the right. Connect to the light within. And repeat, either silently or aloud, Om Shanti Svarupaham. Om Shanti Svarupaham. Om Shanti Svarupaham. I am the form of peace. I am the form of peace. I am peace. Joining the hands together, we'll lift our voices in one Om. Take a breath in. Om. Hari Om. Jai Mata Di. Thank you all so much for being here today. Special thank you and gratitude to Dilip.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful book.
Thank
Will
Thank you for
bring
meeting you all.
peace to many
Thank
hearts.
you.
It's good.
And thank you all for being here. So good to see you. So good to see you.
Yes, this was new information, so thanks.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. They're still serving brunch. They'll be serving until 12:30. So please do enjoy and send everyone in the kitchen a little bit of love. You know how hard they work for all of you. So yes, absolutely. We'll see you all next week.